sales as a career. Let's talk about it. Pros and cons of getting into a job in sales. Background for me, I didn't start into my sales career until I was about 32, 33 years old. Didn't actually intend to get into sales, but one fateful call from a recruiter started me down that path. Thank you, Peter Travis, you're the man. And looking back now, that one call definitely changed the direction of my life for the better. So I wanted to share an honest experience of what it's like to be a salesperson, weigh the pros against the cons in case some of you are on the fence, and let you decide if this is the career path for you. So number one, pro, autonomy. You get to set your own schedule. You get to set your own travel schedule. You make as many calls or send out as many emails as you want. Nobody, unless you have a very rigid structure in terms of the number of calls you have to hit a day, you're going to have a lot more freedom to do your job. At the end of the day, you've got to produce, but you get autonomy and get to be creative of how you get there. Number two, that ties into that autonomy for me, another pro is the quality of life. Outside of just compensation, outside of the autonomy, is the ability to really use your brain to be creative, to plan, to strategize, to set long-term goals. And for me, that reward that you get, that sense of achievement and accomplishment outside of just the production numbers, really adds to what I believe is a very high quality of life. Number three, social aspect. I like to talk to people. This is driving me crazy being only virtual, right? I want to be out. I want to be out sitting knee to knee, having beers, having coffee, doing prospect meetings in person, shaking hands. Hello, we forgot about shaking hands and giving hugs. But I'm a social person by nature. I don't always have to be social, but the thing that provides me the most fulfillment of the sales job, I would say, is the social aspect. Right in the middle of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the socialization. We have to realize it's a very important part of who we are as human beings, and if it's something that you really want to incorporate into your field, definitely look at sales as a career. Number four, you can really quantify your performance. I don't know if any of you guys that are in non-producing roles ever sit down with your boss at the end of the year and do your final year evaluation, and you really have no idea what to expect. They might evaluate you high here and low here or needs improvement. When you're in sales, there's one metric that defines you. Are you producing? So you know exactly what your performance is at the end of the year if you produced or not. So you have a really black and white metric in which to say, yes, I did well, or no, I didn't do so well. And last but not least, in terms of a pro, compensation. Let's not gloss over that. If you're working for somebody else, really, in my opinion, the primary pathway to be wealthy is to sell. I know people that have sold things in any given year and had commas in their income that year. Not one comma, two commas. Now, outside of maybe a C-suite position at a big company, nobody's going to pay you that kind of money unless you're producing for them. So unless you want to go build a business and become independently wealthy that way, if you want to work for somebody else, the pathway to wealth is to sell. Now, let's not pretend it's all rosy and hunky-dory. What are some of the cons of working in a sales position? Number one con, stress and anxiety. If you cannot deal with fluctuations day to day of I'm doing well, I'm the worst salesperson in the world, I'm the greatest salesperson in the world, and feel like that, ride that roller coaster on an almost daily basis, the stress and anxiety, especially if you're looking at an in production goal that you're 10% of the way there 6 months into the year, and you have to still keep the faith to believe that you're going to get there, that stress and anxiety is not for everybody. So if you want to just show up every day and do your job and then go home and not be thinking about it and waking yourself up at 3 in the morning because you're panicking because you're not there yet, maybe sales isn't for you. Number two, kind of ties into that as well. Sometimes it might take you a year, 18 months, 2 years to sell something with a prospect. If you cannot handle a sales cycle that's a couple years long and keep the faith to continue to pursue that distribution channel, thinking at least there's a chance you're going to sell with them, again, it's not for you. It is not an overnight type thing. Don't expect when you start a sales job to sell something in the first week. That's really few and far between. Number three, it is a sink or swim profession. Again, because it's really quantifiable whether or not you're doing well. If after a couple years you keep missing your goals and they're paying you a lot of money, or you're on guarantees and you're coming nowhere near validating that guarantee, you're going to sink, okay? So you just have to have some self-belief and confidence that if you're put in a position to succeed, it's on you. You got to go out and do it, okay? So sink or swim. Number 4, a con. If you don't like being front and center in front of people, I mean, I've given presentations to 50 people in a room and it was me talking for an hour, right? You're fielding questions, trying to entertain, trying to educate. If you are uncomfortable standing in front of a room of a bunch of people and giving a presentation, again, sales, probably not your bag. And last but not least, number 5 ties into the con. Guess what? Some years you might make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some years you might make a third of that. So if you start living your lifestyle based on $250,000 a year of income, because that was your, you had a great year and you just think it's going to be sustainable every single year, you're going to be in for a rude awakening because there's dramatic sometimes fluctuations in income year over year. Probably you're still going to make more money than you were at a salaried position before, but don't make sure your lifestyle doesn't continue trying to keep up with whatever your biggest producing year is. So if you cannot deal with massive fluctuations in income, again, maybe sales isn't for you. So 5 pros and cons of a sales career. I'd be curious to see what you guys think. Did I miss some? Did I not stress one enough? Are there other reasons why you got into sales or maybe haven't gotten into sales and you want to ask me about that? Let me know. Thanks, guys. See you soon.